Can you take one of the most popular Italian panna cotta recipes on the internet and make it healthier? Absolutely. I summed up the ingredients of Vincenzo's panna cotta recipe, which yields a whopping 430 calories per serving, with a rather worrisome amount of sugar, 39 grams to be exact. We are going to massively reduce that in this video and end up with a still tasty but healthier panna cotta with around 260 calories. Our main ingredient remains heavy cream, for panna cotta is Italian and it translates to cooked cream, and we don't want to shake the foundation here and get in real trouble with our Italian friends. However, we will dilute it a bit with whole milk, which will reduce the amount of fat per serving significantly. Yes, you will end up with a slightly less rich panna cotta, but you would probably not be able to tell the difference unless you taste both versions side by side, which we did by the way, and concluded that the half-half panna cotta is absolutely fine. Me personally liked it even better than the full cream version, as that one was a bit too strong or rich for me. Moreover, we will need sugar, of course. However, we will add a rather tiny amount compared to the original recipe, which will be absolutely fine, for the cream base is less fatty. But besides sugar, we will use fresh vanilla beans to infuse our panna cotta with a tasty aroma. So let's cut and slice it open and harvest these flavor-packed little vanilla beans by scraping them off with a knife. Transfer into the creamy mixture, which we will need to warm up together with the sugar. So pour everything into a little pot or saucepan and let's move over to the stove. By the way, we will also need gelatin to thicken our cream mixture in order to end up with panna cotta. I got this powder and will follow its instructions exactly, which do not require any blooming. Please read the instructions of the gelatin product of your choice. Anyhow, let's place our little pot over medium-low heat and gently heat up the mixture. Make sure that it's medium-low really and take your time. Stir occasionally in order to dissolve the sugar, as well as not to scorch the dairy. I shortly mixed everything every 30 seconds and it was perfectly fine. Nothing scorched. Also, we do not want to boil, but rather heat it up to a temperature slightly above 70 degrees Celsius or around 165 Fahrenheit. This will be high enough to kill any nasty bacteria and for our gelatin to dissolve nicely. Some recipes will tell you to heat up the cream till you notice little bubbles at the edges of the pot. This might be already too close to boiling though. We definitely do not want to boil it, at least not for too long. Also, if the temperature is too high, the gelatin will curdle and not dissolve smoothly. If you have a food thermometer, I suggest that you use it, and if not, I can only recommend that you get one, for it makes cooking really easier. Not only for a task like boiling, but also when it comes to baking perfect cakes and cooking meat à point. It for sure made my cooking journey more enjoyable so far, as the final results are often better than without a thermometer, at least for an unskilled home cook like me. It took me less than a minute of whisking to dissolve the gelatin powder at a temperature of 70 C or 160 F. If you don't believe me, here is the whisk. No gelatin lumps attached to it. Let's also run it through a fine sieve to be sure. There you go. Great, now grab your molding container of choice, and if you want to serve your panna cotta on a plate later on, like in an authentic Italian restaurant, I suggest you use these ramekins that hold around 100 ml and that you can fill close to the rim. A more modern, and by some labeled as more sexy, serving method is in a glass. I will fill up also 2 of these glasses with 150 ml. Don't forget to allocate the precious vanilla beans too. Cover with foil or a reusable lid like this if you want a smooth top. If you don't mind it hardening and shriveling a bit, just transfer to the fridge as is. The gelatin will need around 4 to 6 hours to set the panna cotta perfectly. Now let's move on to the fruit sauce for our panna cotta, which you best prepare an hour before serving so it has enough time to cool down. Instead of strawberries, we will be using blueberries, which are a healthier choice, for they have a much greater amount of antioxidants than strawberries. Also, we will go for much less sugar than the original recipe. A, because too much sugar is bad for you.
In America, first you get the sugar, then you get the power, then you get the women.
And B, blueberries got more sugar than strawberries already. I am using a bit more than 100 grams or almost half a pound of blueberries here, and only 10 grams or a tablespoon of sugar. Over medium-low heat, we will melt the sugar and mix with the blueberries till they begin to cook and release the juice, noticeable here by the red stains. By then, they should be soft enough in order to be crushed with a potato masher. I prefer some texture remaining in my sauce, so I just mash all the berries once. Once the sugar fully dissolved and the mass begins to bubble, we are done. Mix well and set aside for our blueberry sauce to cool down. That's almost it, depending on which serving method you are going to use. In case you want to serve on a plate, removing the panna cotta from the molding ramekin can be quite difficult if you approach it the wrong way. In order for you to not despair, let me show you how it's done best. First, take a small knife and remove the upper edge of the panna cotta from the ramekin. Do not cut all the way down or you might cut into its side and ruin its appearance. Just a few millimeters or 1/8 of an inch like this. In order to detach most of our panna cotta from the molding form, we will shortly immerse the form in hot water. Remember, when you put items into water, the water level increases by the volume of the thing that you put in there. Considering this and being careful not to burn yourself, put the ramekin in there, count till 5 and get it back out. This should be enough for the panna cotta to begin melting and detach from the form. And now, lastly, in order for the panna cotta to fall off the ramekin, you have to turn it upside down and hold it in a 45-degree angle to the floor. If you hold it exactly parallel to the floor, it probably won't fall off. Why? In short, physics. Please be informed that foods with gelatin apparently get stiffer the longer they sit, so your panna cotta probably will turn rubbery after a few days. I ate my last batch 2 days after putting it into the fridge and it was still fine though. Spread a tablespoon of the blueberry sauce on top and draw some circles with it too. And there you have it, folks. A healthier but still tasty panna cotta recipe with around 260 calories, with around 20 grams of fat, 15 grams of carbs and 4 grams of protein per serving. I hope you will try it and enjoy. Buon appetito!